This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Hey guys, Jay here. Welcome to Models Memories Weekly, episode 239. Models Memories is a show about nothing and is filmed in front of a live studio audience. This is a show where I talk about my painting, modeling, and wargaming experiences from the week. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Jay, you put out 3 videos a week. Ow! Could I possibly have more to say? Well, I do, and here goes. This week, Games Workshop showed off a bunch of stuff for the Ultramarine, some new upgrades, which can be a really cool thing, but I think they're just sort of fine. And we got the new grot grot, like the little red Gobbo guy. But first, most websites are shaped like a square, and today's sponsor, Squarespace, can help with that. Squarespace allows anyone to design the website of their dreams with the most powerful and easiest design tools in the industry, like Design Blueprint. Using AI technology empowers anyone to build a more personalized website tailored to their needs, crafting a bespoke digital identity. Choose from a professionally curated selection of styling options to build a unique online presence from the ground up. Squarespace makes sure it's easy to launch your website and get discovered fast with integrated optimized SEO tools, so you show up more often to more people and grow the way you want. With Squarespace, it's never been easier to set up a unique online storefront. Whether your services are physical, digital, or service-based, selling your wares has never been easier. Squarespace offers an unmatched ability to showcase your unique wares with images, videos, reviews, and add-ons all capped off with their seamless checkout tools, letting your customers use whatever system they prefer, whether Klarna, ACH Direct Deposit, Apple Pay, Afterpay, or ClearPay. Squarespace offers a free trial for you to dip your feet into and test the waters, and ready to dive in head first, and go to squarespace.com/EonsOfBattle or follow the link in the description below to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. The yearly Christmas grot is a very fun thing that Games Workshop does, and I haven't gotten any of the previous grots, I don't think. I might have to check around pretty thoroughly. They're little. But the new one is very interesting. It is the Red Gobbo hiding inside of a mechanical nutcracker. And yeah, it's a little weird to look at. It's a very gangly robot thing, and he's sticking out of like the mouth hole of the nutcracker, which is funny, but it's also very hard to read. The other one, we had one where he was perched on top of a roof, ready to throw some bombs down the chimney. And then there was another one where I think he was just chucking a snowball, and then there was a snowman on it. Like there's been a bunch that would work really well inside of a Christmas ball, like an ornament. If you could get it in there somehow, like it would look so good hanging from a Christmas tree. This one is a little bit more diorama-y than some of the other ones have been. It's very weird. The paint job is immaculate, but I feel like it's making it a little harder to actually see what's going on. It might also be the angle that they're showing it off at. Every model has like one angle that it really wants you to see it from. And maybe this isn't the angle. This is the angle where you can see the grot the best, or the Gobbo the best, but maybe it's not the one that like best tells the story of this nutcracker robot thing. It's a weird one. I do like the kind of metallic red that they've painted this guy in. It almost looks like it was all done by hand. Like just stippling the red on to get it just the right amount of, this is something that was painted candy red, but has been worn down to reveal some of the shiny metal underneath. It's a very impressive paint job, but I don't know, there's something about it that just doesn't seem quite right. It would be really funny though, to take this model and turn it into like an Adeptus Mechanicus robot, like the Castafron robots. But as is, I don't know, I feel like this is one of the Christmas grots that is least interesting to me. Maybe it's the most interesting because it's so weird to look at, but it's a tricky one. I do really like his little firecracker, his gigantic, clearly stick of dynamite that is wrapped up in a nice little bow. Oh, the Christmas grot, the Red Gobbo. He's just a silly little guy. The Red Gobbo is a silly little guy, but you know what else are a bunch of silly little guys? That is the Ultramarines, and Games Workshop has been pumping out some extra products for the Ultramarines. Not Ultramarine specific, I guess Ultramarine specific units, because we got Kato, and we got Marnius Calgar, and we got some other guy. But there's also a bunch of upgrade bits. Number one is Space Marine heads. 50 Space Marine heads, and it's not specific to the Ultramarines, it's just coming out along the same time as the Ultramarine revamp or the Ultramarine show off, but 50 Space Marine heads, and they're good. Like, these are all some really, really good bare helmetless Space Marine heads. The only thing I would say is, well, if you collect an army of Space Marines, you end up with so many bare Space Marine heads. Every kit comes with like 3 or 4 or sometimes more, and you use maybe one of them on the Sergeant. And so I have a lot of my Space Marine bits cut up and put into like little jewelry boxes with the little compartments. And I had to make a double compartment for the sea of Space Marine heads. I have so many of them. Helmets are a little tricky. Usually the kits come with just about the right number of helmets, maybe one extra helmet with like a skull on the forehead. But I feel like if you were doing a pack dedicated to Space Marine heads, I feel like you would want to flood it with helmets, more so than just the faces. A lot of these faces are pretty good, and I would like to have a couple of them. I don't know if that's gonna make me want to pull the trigger on a set of 50 heads where I want to use 4. Well, a couple of things the Game Master could have done to make this way more exciting is some really gnarly Space Marine faces. The Space Hulk, the 2016 Space Hulk, and I think the 2013 Space Hulk when they revamped it, in that rule book, you see pictures or portraits of the heroes of the first company, and you see them without their helmets on, and they're all just super mangled and scarred with cybernetic everything, and they look like actual monsters, which makes a lot of sense for Space Marines who do nothing but war for their entire, multi-century lifespan. It would make sense for them to look pretty rough. And so I feel like some really messed up heads would have been excellent. Another thing that would have been kind of cool, especially if you wanted to aim this at not just Space Marine players, but like maybe some Chaos Space Marine players or Xenos players, is a bunch of really messed up, mangled Space Marine helmets to glue down to the bases or to put in the hands of your enemy models who are like holding up just a destroyed, decapitated Space Marine. Or some nice Space Marine helmets to put on Chaos Spikes. I feel like that could have been a really, really interesting thing to spice up this set. But overall, it's just a collection of Space Marine faces. A couple of them are pretty darn good. The helmets, it does come with some helmets, and the some helmets are pretty good. We got some Mark 7s, which is always good to see. The classic Mark 7 helmet, the Screamer pattern with the Darth Vader looking mask, they don't quite fit on Primaris. They do physically fit, but they're a little bit too big, which is kind of hilarious to say because a Primaris Space Marine is like 5 millimeters taller than a regular Space Marine. They're pretty big, and so the old style helmet on the Primaris body does look a little big and a little chunky, and so it would be nice to get some actual Mark 7 heads that are a little narrower and have the Mark 10 style ears that are a little bit more squished so that it all looks really, really good. A little bit the same with the beaky helmets, the Mark 6 beaky helmets. The nose, the schnoz of the beaky helmet does run into the cowling of the Mark 10 armor a little bit. And they did cheat the Mark 10 armor cowling to stick out a fair bit. And so it'll work, like you can do it, but it's not quite perfect. I feel like if they shrunk the proportions of the beaky helmet just a little bit, it would fit better. I'm sure the 2 beaky helmets that come in this box are excellent on a Mark 10 body, but the old classic Tactical Marine ones, especially like the old tactical helmets that have the ridiculous mold line that you have to like sand off with a nail file, those, it's a little tricky to get those to look really, really good on modern Space Marines. Other than that, we got some nice heads with the lenses on them. Not as many as I would have liked. I think they should have looked at the old Devastator kit, which had, some of them had the cyber eye, but some of them had like triple cyber eye or a square shaped eye. There's a lot of weird, one of them had like an almost Commander Data or Lieutenant Geordi. Was Geordi a lieutenant? He was in charge of the engines. I should know this, but Geordi LaForge, he got that big visor on. One of them had like half of that covering their face. And so just some weirdness and some wackiness. I feel like all of these heads have existed before in other kits, especially the Sternguard Veterans kit. That one comes with a lot of really, really nice Space Marine bits. And I feel like There's so many good Space Marine bits out there that a pack like this is not super duper exciting. The only thing I feel like that is a must-have that would like make somebody pull the trigger on this box is the heads that have the mohawks on them. Those, it's hard to like get, you can't really get those, and they look really, really cool, especially on Ultramarines or more like Roman or Greek styling chapters of Space Marines. So those would be pretty awesome. And some alt helmetless heads for Terminators is actually a pretty good get, because I think you get one in the regular Terminator box, and then I think you get two in the Captain and Terminator armor. So actually pretty slim pickings if you want to put a bare head in a Terminator suit. Although you could just shave down the neck of a regular helmetless Space Marine head and just shove it in the Terminator head hole, and you could get the job done. But if you want a dedicated Terminator helmetless head, this is one way to get them. I think overall, this set is a neat little product to have out there, but it kind of goes along with the previous Ultramarines upgrade frame. March for McCrag with the new Ultramarines upgrades in a versatile combat patrol. Oh yeah, I forgot they got a combat patrol. I wonder if it's sold out already. This upgrade frame, it's not bad. You get tons and tons of shoulder pads with the Omega symbol embossed on them. Not every symbol works perfectly with embossing, but the Ultramarine one does because it's so big and it's so simple that it's pretty easy to pick out with a paintbrush. You get a couple of vehicle markings, you get a bunch of bare heads, which is fine. But then in terms of extra stuff, you get a couple of little shoulder shields, you get literally one or two little holsters and pouches. You don't get a lot, like other than the shoulder pads, which is something that somebody could want. Although the Ultramarines decal is not one of the harder ones to put on because it's just a circle. You just stick it right there in the middle of the shoulder pad. I feel like this one isn't one of the better upgrade frames. I guess it is one of the better upgrade frames when you look at the totality of the upgrade frames, because I think there has been one for Salamanders, there has been one for Imperial Fists. I don't think there was a Raven Guards one, but there should be. But they all didn't come with much, and not coming with much and coming with very specific things doesn't really light a fire under you to pull the trigger. What I'm trying to get at is none of them are nearly as good as the Black Templars upgrade frames. Oh, the Black Templars upgrade frames. They are perfection. And I don't even get why the Black Templars get such a great upgrade frame. Like, I don't know if the designer of the box just kind of broke the rules and threw in a bunch of extra stuff. Like, there's no need. There almost isn't a need for there to even be a Black Templars upgrade frame. There's only one bit that kind of pushes it over the edge into it probably should exist, and that is not the shoulder pads, it is not the helmets, it is not the backpack, it is the multi-melta. The vehicle-mounted multi-melta is a must-have for the Black Templars. Our vehicles are extra special because we can kick off the stubber and then we can put on a multi-melta, and all of a sudden every one of our vehicles, our repulsors, our impulsors, they can all have a decent anti-tank weapon on them. But other than that, the Black Templars don't even need an upgrade frame. Our the Sword Brethren box and the Black Templars Crusader Squad box are excellent in terms of bits and giving you all the parts you need, not only to outfit what comes in the box, but also to splash out some decorations, shoulders, and purity seals on the rest of your vanilla Space Marines. But the Black Templar upgrade frame comes with all that and the kitchen sink. Literally, it almost literally comes with a kitchen sink. It comes with a gigantic book bound in like steel and iron. For no particular reason, you get scout shotguns. I don't know why you get scout shotguns, but you do. Originally, when the Crusader Squad first came out, it was before scouts had gotten a plastic refresh, and so I guess in theory, to give scouts all of the available weapon options, the Crusader Squad kit does not come with shotguns, so I guess the upgrade frame that was also available for purchase would be able to get you those shotguns if you wanted to take them. The truth is you don't want to take them in game because they're so much worse than the chainswords, but they're so cool. It's a Space Marine shotgun. So I'm really glad that they came on the upgrade frame. I've glued a bunch to my neophytes. Even though in game, they're carrying chainswords, don't worry about the shotgun. It just looks really, really cool. Then you get tons of shoulder pads but you also get shoulder pads with a little bit extra going on. You get some with like the rivets all over them. You get some with these weird studs. You get a Mark 5 studded shoulder pad. You get some shoulder pads that have like the really high trim on them. Like you get a really nice variety, which is always kind of in the Black Templars look, almost by accident, because people have always kit bashed and converted their Black Templars out of whatever. And so the Black Templar have a very weird, eclectic look to their units. And so this helps you to do that. You also get a bunch of purity seals. You get the holy hand grenade. You get a bunch of hands that are just holding these chained psyker skulls, which it's not something that exists. You don't need to do it. There's no unit that is holding up the head of the ba, and it's a unit in game that you need to take. It's just for fun. And I love just for fun. You get a foot, or maybe it's a hand. You get the bones of a hand that you can just hang off of somebody's belt. You get some little lanterns and sarcophaguses. You get some more bones. You get all sorts of little vehicle tags. You get the shroud of Virgipapa that I use as the, what's it called? It was an enhancement that used to exist in the old Index days. Tannheiser's Bones. Oh, Tannheiser's Bones. Now, me and those bones, we had a good old time. It used to give you a 5-up Feel No Pain on, and I would stick it on a Terminators just to make them invincible. It was so much fun. And then you get a giant Executioner's Blade that it's not a thing, but it would look really, really good on the baby chaplains, the Judiciars. Like there's so many bits here that just like, they really get the creative juices flowing. You get a couple of heads, which are kind of the lamest thing in this upgrade set, but you do get some Space Marine Scout heads, and those heads are much harder to get a hold of, so it's nice to have those in this box. It's just a really, really nice set of upgrades. And it sparks the creativity because it's just a bunch of nonsense, really. But that's what an upgrade frame should be. It should just have weird stuff in it that doesn't really have a solid reason to exist, but just should because it's cool. And so I don't get why randomly Games Workshop made one upgrade frame for the Black Templars that is amazing, and then has never really hit that again. It seems like the philosophy has completely changed. Maybe it's that the Black Templar upgrade frame is not a big seller, but I would argue that it's not a big seller because it's expensive. But number two, because it came in the old Combat Patrol. The old Black Templars Combat Patrol was a really, really good one. You got Crusader Squad, you got a 5-man squad of Intercessors, you got a Impulsor, and then you got the Marshal. And you got the upgrade frame thrown in there to decorate the Impulsor and the 5-man squad. And so you got everything you wanted and needed. It was really, really good. The new one is arguably a little bit better in terms of the units that come inside of it. You get the Sword Brethren squad, you get a Blade Guard Veteran squad, you get Crusader squad, and then you get the Emperor's Champion. Just 4 absolute banger units that you're probably gonna want to be taking in your games of Warhammer 40,000. But you don't get the upgrade frame included in the box. You gotta buy it separately now, which is a little sad. I got one of these suckers out of a Combat Patrol. I might have gotten 2 of them out of a Combat Patrol. And then I got really lucky and I found one of them at my friendly local game store's just box of sprue. And then I think I bought a couple more just because they're good. The Games Workshop, if you make it really, really good, people will buy it. The Ultramarine one, it's fine, but it doesn't come with 2 sheathed chainswords. Is there a reason to have sheathed chainswords? Not really, but it's cool. It would be cool, just a weird way to convert up a Space Marine and make them unique and interesting. You know, do I need a Space Marine scout arm chucking a grenade? No, but I've glued it onto my guys because it's awesome. Do I need a scout arm that is carrying the helmet of a Space Marine? Because this is to show that the neophytes are the squires to the initiate Space Marine battle brothers. And so this is literally just like a little helper, a servant, carrying his master's helmet in the midst of battle because he had to take his helmet off for a minute to be extra awesome. Like all of these little things, they just spice up your army and they spice up your enjoyment of the game of Warhammer 40,000. I wish every chapter of Space Marines got an upgrade frame that was as good as the Black Templars one. And it could totally exist, even for something as boring as the Ultramarines. Can I think of anything? I mean, I feel like Ultramarines would be good with maybe some like Romanesque pouches and baggies, or go back to the days of like the Horus Heresy where they had those kind of weird banners with like the metal plates on them. I know it's a thing. I think it's a Roman thing, but like have a couple of those toppers to splash out on your Marines. Maybe get some more specific to the Ultramarines shoulder shield things going on. Maybe space, like different arms holding weapons in a very, very correct way, because the Ultramarines follow the Codex Astartes to the letter. And the Codex Astartes is not just the Space Marine Bible. It's actually a list of every possible scenario in war. And Space Marines memorize this like a giant Wikipedia where they can instantly look up giant orc coming at me from the left, what do? And then the Codex Astartes will tell you exactly what to do. Like, you know, go down to a knee, come back up, like sucker punch him. Like it'll tell, the Codex Astartes is every single possible rule of engagement. And so maybe there's a way with posing to show off that the Ultramarines are so martially perfect. Their form is exquisite. With Black Templar just flailing balls of chain swords and punching. Like the Ultramarines would probably be really cool to watch in action because they're so like their form is impeccable. And so I think if come up with some bits and some things to really show that off about them. I feel like a lot of the other chapters are a little bit easier to do. Like Salamanders, you get your scales, like your little scale capes and your little, like your crotch banners of scales, fire elements, burning skeletons, burning everything, extra flamethrowers. The Raven Guard, just feathers, all sorts of feathers and skulls everywhere, and lots of extra pouches and baggies because they're guerrilla warriors, and so they need to keep their supplies on them at all times. Even the Imperial Fists, extra armor. Put some Mark III-esque pattern things onto a Mark X Space Marine body. Just extra armor, maybe even like extra rivets. Just they're really riveted up because they've got extra armor bolted on top of their armor. Man, is every Space Marine chapter way easier to like fantasize about than the Ultramarines. I mean, they're blue, they got that going for them, but other than that, Ultramarines, they're pretty vanilla. I would say that in modern Warhammer 40,000, the Ultramarines have been getting more interesting with the return of Guilliman and all of their unique named characters, even Cato Sicarius, captain of the second company? He might be fourth company. Although he might not be fourth company anymore because now I think he's just officially a part of Marneus Calgar's honor guard. But right now with like your Vrain and the Cicatrix Maledictum, like there's some really interesting stuff going on right now for the Ultramarines. But I remember reading all of the lore of all of the different Primarchs from 30K, and they were all like the history and the story of their chapters were so interesting. And the Ultramarines, they were kind of the standard that all other ones were kind of branching off of. Like the Ultramarines were just good. They were just the Space Marines, but all of the other chapters had some weird eccentricities that really pushed them over the edge. Also, for Ultramarines, really cool successor chapters, because most successor chapters are Ultramarine successors. There's some really cool stuff out there. Howling Griffins. For some reason, I was thinking about those guys very recently, and there are a really cool chapter of Space Marines that I feel like do the Ultramarine thing much, much better than the Ultramarines. But I don't want to dunk on the Ultramarines too hard. They're blue, they're fine. I don't want to keep hating on the Ultramarines. I want to talk about something that's actually really, really cool, and that is EonsOfBattle.com. EonsOfBattle.com is packed full of all sorts of awesome hobby goodies, and we now have paint. We got Army Painter paint, we got Fanatic, we got Speed Paint, we got the bundles. We also have my favorite Vallejo texture pastes. If you're looking for some paint, Eons of Battle has got it, and all sorts of other hobby goodies, including terrain. And it's the best way to support us doing what we do with a membership. Each month, members get a credit that they can use on any terrain set that we have ever made, or the brand spanking new one for this month. Come celebrate Orktober with us and head on down to the Orc Rodeo. A whimsical assortment of high-octane hijinks, this set includes a series of walls and barricades that not only create a coliseum of chaos, but also fits in with our previous Orky wall terrains. Then there are the Goblin game carts, a series of mobile orc entertainments, pulled along by an orcified food truck, literally dripping with some good orc grub. Rounding out this set are the three amigos, some brave goblins riding their violently bucking steeds. All this terrain was designed by us and is available at EonsOfBattle.com. In my hobby news, I got a little bit of painting done for another miniature war game that is quickly becoming my favorite miniature war game, and that is this little tiny fairy. This is Tito. It's actually one of the first Moonstone minis I ever bought, back when I just bought a whole bunch of Moonstone models for my birthday. But it took me a long time to paint her up, because I didn't see why she was good in game. But having played a ton of Moonstone now, rereading her data card, she's pretty good. She has 6 energy, which is crazy for the game of Moonstone. That's how they balance the game, how many wounds you have versus how much energy she has, or how much energy a model has. And she has 6 energy and 6 health, which is really, really good because the fairies have a tricky way to get rid of some of the downsides of being fairies. Fairies typically have a rule called enfeeble or weakling, where the generic game actions take them more resources to do than other factions. But I can turn that off fairly easily, and then Tito is just rocking around the board with 6 energy, which is absurd. Man, was she hard to paint. I followed the box art to the letter, which included all of these little eye spots on her wings. And I enjoy painting the butterfly wings on my Moonstone minis. But the problem is, if I do it on the left, I gotta do it perfectly again on the right. And then I gotta do it perfectly again on the back. And it really makes me nervous, because usually the first one turns out pretty good because I am really, really locked in, super focused. And then I gotta match it perfectly. And eventually I worked through it, but man, it's kind of worth it on the Moonstone minis because number one, there's no goons, there's no like chaff or fodder. It's every single model is a unique named character and you only need 4 to 6. I mean, really, you could play with 2 if you wanted, but 4 or 6 makes for some really, really good games. And I am excited to get gaming with good old Tito. I've been playing a lot more Moonstone, and I've been buying a lot more Moonstone. I've been buying kind of a lot of minis recently, but I might be buying some more minis very soon because there's a very exciting event coming up for Wisconsin Wargamers, and that is the Midwest Mini Swap. My man Tim is once again hosting the Midwest Mini Swap. Last time it was great. We had a pretty decent turnout, got some really, really cool miniatures, and it is happening again, and I am very exciting. It is going to be at the VFW in New Berlin, Wisconsin on October 26th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's a really, really fun time. If anybody is in the area, I would suggest coming to check it out. I will be there. Maybe I'll be selling some stuff. We'll see what happens, but I'll definitely be buying some stuff. It's a really fun time, and you guys should come check it out. I've been painting up a lot of Warhammer, I've been painting up a lot of Moonstone, I have not been painting up as much blood and plunder as I would like. There's just not enough hours in the day. But I gotta go and get back to painting some stuff, so bye.